to the mobile phone project. So I'm actually on this thing going to, in this presentation, just focus on how to get ideas for the project. So there's a detailed document with links in about the different apps. So essentially the idea is to use a mobile phone app to make some measurements and write a short report. So there's a document on the DLE with how this will be structured, which you can read at your leisure. The deadline is Thursday the 17th December. It's a 2-page limit, and that includes the graphs. Okay, so you can read this shows the instructions. So now I'm just going to give a kind of idea of a short idea of how to get the ideas of the project. So behind the idea is your smartphone has many sensors, and they can be made to make physical measurements. Many smartphones have accelerometers, light meters, sound meters. But then there is some people have written some very nice apps, such as PHYS050 and Google Science Journal, which kind of extract information from the sensors in your smartphone, and they can draw graphs, and you can actually use them to do measurements. So in the document I just showed you, we recommend 2 apps which can use the sensors and extract useful information, and there's detailed instructions, and there's a lot of information on the websites. So I mean, here's a picture down here of a smartphone. It's measuring some information from a sensor inside the mobile phone. It's making a graph, and also you can kind of mirror it to a laptop as well, and you can also exchange graphs. Okay, so I mean, the idea here is it's just a short mini project. The report is 2 pages long, which includes graphs, so it's not meant to be a huge piece of work. So in the detailed instructions, there's information about this. One of the key things is we've deliberately left this as a kind of very free-form type project, just because right we're at the end of the course, so you have a little bit of freedom to choose what you want to investigate. And just here are some ideas for that. So there's one version of the scientific process. In that sense, you make a hypothesis about some physical process, and it could be that you read in a book that the sound intensity decays away as 1 over r squared, where r is the distance from a source, and then you actually do an experiment to test this hypothesis. And so an experiment in this case is you use your mobile phone, and you do some measurements, and you compare it against what you originally thought. And then when you write a conclusion, you can say, well, this is what we thought we were going to find, and this is what we actually found. How do you come up with a hypothesis? Well, you can just you know what sensors you have in the phone, and you can look through ideas on the website of the apps to find an idea. And I should also say, this is somewhere where teamwork can help, because if you have a team of 3 people, some people could be thinking, looking into an idea, and then other people could actually be investigating kind of the technical aspects of using the app. So you can kind of break the project into little different sub-projects to get people to work on, but that's sort of up to you. And you don't have to do this. You could just investigate one of the sensors. It could be you're interested in the light sensors, and it could be you just investigate that. And the main thing is just take something you find kind of interesting. But I mean, doing this kind of scientific process where you have a hypothesis, and then you do an experiment to test the hypothesis is sort of standard way, but you don't have to do that. The main thing I want to say about this is please be careful that you don't damage your phone, and also, in the past years, we've had projects, people doing things in elevators. Obviously now you have to make sure everything's socially distanced, and so respect all the kind of COVID rules. So ideas for projects in the past years, we've had projects looking at acceleration lifts. It's actually turned out this is kind of interesting, just looking at acceleration. You can look at sound levels in parts of Plymouth or in a house. I would. This is a good one to have where there's a hypothesis. I wouldn't just go around to some random place in Plymouth, but I would have some idea, some just hypothesis, some idea of why you're doing the measurements. You can measure light levels in a building, light levels in times of the day. One person did acceleration punching. Also, with an accelerometer, you could test some kind of athletic type things. And people have done in the past acceleration dropping a phone, but obviously be careful because you can damage it even if you're dropping it onto a soft material. And then there's things like checking the inverse square law, which is say that things like the intensity goes down. The intensity, say, of sound goes down like 1 over r squared, or r is the distance. And if you look on the websites of the applications, they have a number of suggestions for experiments that you can explore. Okay, so I hope you have fun, and that's all I wanted to say.